These green mussels are a popular food across Indonesia. But the bay they come from is full of mercury, lead, and sewage that's slowly killing the mussels. Now, divers like Tajuddin can't easily find them.
Kalau untuk perubahan, benar-benar perubahannya drastis.
To survive, many fishermen are turning to predatory online lenders, sometimes based in China and the US. They charge high interest, trapping people like Tajuddin in a cycle of debt.
Lu bayar dulu lah gitu bahasanya, lunasin. Kalau ngelunasin ya lu nggak bisa lah lu keluar kerja dari sini gitu.
To pay it off, entire families, like Tajuddin's wife and 13-year-old son, also need to work.
Karangnya susah dibuka, memakai pisau, tangannya berdarah-darah.
Even then, they're often short on money, so they have to borrow from their bosses.
Usaha sendiri aja. Terserah kita, yang penting tangannya cepat, dapat banyak.
So how did one of Indonesia's most popular seafoods become part of a system of modern-day slavery? And as the sea grows poisonous, what happens to the people who still depend on it? This is one of Jakarta's poorest areas. Locals call this neighborhood Green Mussel Village, named after the one life form that sustains almost every resident here, including 13-year-old Muhammad Hisiam Musiafa.
Saya mengupas kerang hijau dari umur 8 tahun.
Nearly every day for the past 5 years, he's sat beside his mother, Siti Komala, racing to shuck at least 3 kilos of mussels.
Pas pertama kali membuat kulit kerang, rasanya sulit. Kulitnya keras. Agak lamaan, saya bisa membuka sendiri tanpa dibantu mama.
Sebenarnya dari TK juga ada suruh duduk. Kalau dia punya anaknya 3, dia bantuin 2.
But even with years of practice, Muhammad still gets hurt.
Ini nih ada nih. Badannya pegel-pegel, bongkok, tangannya luka-luka ya.
Despite that, Muhammad says he couldn't imagine spending his days any other way.
Kasihan ngeliat ibu buka kerang hijau mulu.
Jadi menurut kamu emang anak kecil harus kerja?
Iya.
The mussels he works on were pulled from the Jakarta Bay by his father, 42-year-old Tajuddin. Just a few years ago, he could still earn a living fishing near the dock.
Di pinggir-pinggir pesisirannya aja banyak sekali kerang-kerang putih, kerang-kerang darah, nempel-nempel begini.
But now, there's trash all along the shore and in the water. Today, to earn anything from this bay, Tajuddin has to go far offshore, making the job much more dangerous.
Ya, kalau saya pribadi, dibilang rasa takut itu memang ada. Ya lagi awal-awal lagi belajar pun sempat panik. Ya mau nggak mau, suka nggak suka, enak nggak enak, ya saya tekunin terus gitu. Daripada saya nganggur.
His brother claims their diving spot before dawn. This is the only way to make a living for those like Tajuddin, who didn't go to school past 9th grade.
Nggak ada profesi lain lah, sampingan atau yang lain lah gitu. Saya putuskan saya udahlah kerja di laut.
The mussel farm he works on is a line of buoys, anchored by ropes to the seabed. The creatures cling to the lines, growing in tight clusters. Tajuddin sometimes swims down 15 feet to reach them. The shells are razor sharp, so divers wear gloves to protect their hands. Tajuddin stays under for about 45 minutes at a time until his basket is full. He will sell the mussels back to his boss, who owns this farm, but at below market price, in exchange for being allowed to work here.
Bebannya kan berat, ditaruh di pundak kan. Kan berulang-ulang, nggak sekali, 2 kali. Itu yang bikin kita lelah, capek. Sampai kadang napas juga pegel.
In a single day, divers make this trip down and back up about a dozen times. While he's diving, Tajuddin's only air comes through a thin tube, connected to this rusty compressor that often breaks down. Tajuddin has already seen 10 of his friends drown this way.
Sering. Kita berbulan-bulan, bertahun-tahun udah terbiasa, ya itu udah dianggaplah biasa. Bahkan saya pun sempat pernah hampir sempat nggak ada. Pas saya tarik tuh napas sudah mau habis. Pas saya naik sampai perahu saya langsung pingsan begini.
Because of the pollution, just swimming here can cause cancer and skin diseases, especially if the water gets into open cuts.
Ya kalau ini memang ini mah nih yang kebeler-kebeler begini saya mah sering, udah biasa. Ini bekasnya lukanya sekarang udah kembali normal, cuma udah nggak normal kulitnya. Cuma namanya kita gimana ya, namanya sudah terbiasa. Jadi ya udah beradaptasi lah bahasanya ya.
The native green mussels, on the other hand, are struggling to survive in the polluted Jakarta Bay. They are filter feeders, which means they survive by sucking food particles, even toxic ones, from the water. But they have limits too. When mussels absorb too many heavy metals, like lead and mercury, they become deformed and can stop reproducing. At one point, researchers found deformities in about 60% of the mussels farmed in this bay. Eventually, populations begin to decline. And so do the incomes of these fishermen, who are forced to take out loans just to get by. 2 years ago, Tajuddin borrowed the equivalent of a couple $100 from an online lending service to pay for his children's schooling and other household bills. But he had to put up his boat as collateral. The deal was pay back $58 a month. He isn't sure what the interest was, but experts say some online lenders charge up to 60%, due with each monthly installment. If Tajuddin missed 3 payments, he'd lose the boat.
Itu sempat setoran agak mandek-mandek, karena ke lautnya ntar nggak dapet lagi.
With not much money coming in, Tajuddin had to give up his boat to pay his debt. Online loans have become common in his district, where thousands of people depend on the bay to get by.
They suffer from high unemployment because of the severe environmental degradations. So the bank itself see that those kind of area is very risky. So it's very hard for them to apply for the bank loan.
That's why workers have turned to online lenders instead. Between 2018 and 2025, the amount Indonesians borrowed annually from these services jumped from about $220 million to $5 billion. But many of these services are illegal and have ties to companies or operators abroad in places like China, Singapore, and the United States. They've stepped in to offer small loans, often just a few $100s, that traditional banks typically won't provide. The Indonesian government can't do much because the money moves through informal transfer systems and middlemen, so it's hard to trace. The loans often come with steep interest that can be impossible to pay off.
So when there is an overseas platform, of course they don't have office, they don't have employee in Indonesia, they try to use the third-party debt collector, which is very, very dangerous. And then they use the third party to harass physically.
Dajudeen has experienced that firsthand.
Ini gimana kan bahasanya, bukan saya hampir lupa sih. Intinya mah dia agak-agak menantang lah. Udah agak-agak inilah, biasalah, rada-rada menantang lah bahasanya. Nah pada saat itu saya diskusi sama istri. Gimana nih Ma? Ini kayaknya udah apa nih, kata-katanya udah kurang enak nih.
So, to pay off the online lenders, many fishermen turn to their employers. Dajudeen says his boss gave him a loan without charging any interest. But now, he has to return to this toxic bay almost every day to pay off the debt. Jakarta Bay is one of the most polluted bodies of water on Earth. 13 rivers flow into it, carrying with them untreated waste from dense neighborhoods and industrial zones.
Terlihat gitu ya, sampah itu tadi ada sampah ya, sampah plastik, sampah organik, sampai bangkai gitu. Bagaimana Teluk Jakarta akhirnya menjadi semacam istilah kami ya, semacam comberan raksasa gitu ya. Jadi semacam pembuangan limbah raksasa gitu ya. Karena tadi dia
Environmentalists say pollution here has gotten especially bad since Indonesia passed the Omnibus Law in 2020. It was meant to create jobs by attracting foreign investors. But critics say it prioritized economic growth at the expense of environmental accountability. And that's one reason many factories that pollute never get audited or penalized. But that pollution has killed off at least 50% of fish species in Jakarta Bay since the 1970s, and about 2/3 of shellfish since the 1930s.
pesisir Jakarta Utara. Nah, terus kemudian ketika variasinya hilang, terus kemudian dia yang bertahan, yang banyak gitu ya, yang masih banyak bertahan adalah karang hijau. Nah itu juga kemudian bisa jadi pertanda gitu bahwa memang kualitas lingkungan, kualitas ekosistem di kawasan tersebut itu sudah parah.
These days, the men have to stay out in the toxic water twice as long as they used to catch the same amount of mussels, all to pay off the debt they owe to their bosses. Experts say this is a form of modern-day slavery. Workers have no way of fighting back. 90% of them don't have written work contracts, so their bosses can get away with underpaying them. Dajudeen, for example, collects 15 sacks a day, but is paid just 74 cents for each of them.
Kita sering juga sih kalau sering ngoreksi diri ya, marah sama diri sendiri tuh berpikirnya introspeksi. Kok saya begini mulu gitu. Nggak bisa berkembang kehidupan, kenapa nggak bisa kayak orang lain, kayak teman gitu. Saya tuh sebenarnya pengen banget gitu.
Once the fishermen hand over their sacks, the mussels usually go to factories like this one, where workers boil them. Inside these giant cauldrons, heat kills the mussels and their shells pop open, making them easier to shuck.
Ya kalau yang baru datang bilangnya bau gitu, kok baunya begini. Tapi kalau yang udah biasa di sini mah enggak, baunya duit.
Dajudeen's wife, Siti, has been peeling mussels at this factory for 12 years. She took the job after her husband's income could no longer feed the family. Now she helps keep food on the table. But when money runs short, Siti turns to the same fallback as her husband, borrowing.
Banyak juga ya, tapi ya pada nggak cerita.
Like her husband, Siti says she tried to avoid borrowing from her boss because she knows that kind of loan keeps workers tied to this factory.
Tadinya mau ke bank yang gede, cuman persyaratannya terlalu rumit. Minjem ke tetangga, ke saudara nggak ada ya.
So Siti borrowed from the same online lending service that cost her husband their boat. She put up her motorcycle as collateral, the one her family would use to transport mussels. That allowed her to take out $290. She had to pay it back within 6 months.
Potong sebulan, seter sebulan aja. Ada gitu, banyak mah ada. Debt collector tuh dia teleponin terus. Ibu kalau tanggal segini nggak bayar, diambil. Iya, lama-lama dia ke rumah, nagih.
Siti had seen how the lenders physically threatened people if they couldn't pay up. So she decided to give up her bike.
Nangis, dia motornya diambil nangis. Bisa ya udah, diikhlasin aja.
In fact, in the first half of 2025 alone, the Indonesian Financial Services Authority said it received almost 4,000 complaints about the behavior of online debt collectors. Siti usually works until 9 p.m. or until this pile is gone. The mussels she peels now just go toward paying back her debt. Without cash coming in, Siti can't even afford basic things like disinfectant to treat the cuts she and her son get from shucking all day.
Paling kasih, kalau di lapak ada solar, kasih solar siram, terhilang.
To afford a meal like this, she needs to ask for an advance. There's rarely any money left over when her children ask for a treat.
Kadang suka sedih, Mak, jajan sih, nggak ada buat jajannya.
She sells the shucked mussels to the supervisor who weighs them and pays her by the kilo. Sometimes when the haul is smaller, Siti won't make more than $2 a day. The mussels arrive at larger factories where they're washed and sold for 17 cents per kilogram. But they're dangerous to eat. Surveys found microplastics in every single sample tested, and heavy metals in many of the mussels.
Zat-zat yang terkandung di kerangnya itu ya ketika kita makan ya dia akan masuk gitu ke dalam tubuh kita seperti itu ya.
Those substances may cause birth defects, paralysis, and even cancer.
Nah, ini menjadi tantangan bagi mereka. Pertama, soal cemaran seperti itu ya. Pertama kan akhirnya ini menurunkan kualitas kerang hijau mereka gitu. Dampak bagi mereka gitu ya. Jadi kerang-kerangnya ini kekurangan peminat pada akhirnya seperti itu.
The Indonesian government has already issued public warnings. But for poorer families, avoiding these mussels isn't easy. They're one of the cheapest protein sources available, much cheaper than beef, eggs, and sometimes even chicken. That's why people still buy them. Even restaurants like this one, which gets them fresh.
Kerang yang bagus itu, kerangnya dia memang nggak ada yang mati, masih rapat. Baru lebih bagusnya lagi tuh baru naik ya.
Ahmad Sodikin has been preparing them at Babek Seafood Restaurant for 11 years.
Dia bisa, dan lamanya juga nggak begitu lama. Di bawah 5 menit sudah siap saji. Jadi bagi orang-orang yang kelas menengah ke bawah mungkin ya, dia bisa gitu untuk membeli produk kita, untuk menikmati makan di rumah makan Babek Seafood ini.
Abdul Rahman eats here about once a month.
Special taste for me, ya. Kalau kita gigit, kenyal, terus gurih, crispy gitu ya, karena pupuknya gitu loh. Terus kemudian kalau kita ibarat makan itu seperti makan kacang. Jadi kayak nggak mau berhenti kalau belum habis.
But lately, eating his favorite dish has raised a question he can no longer ignore. What is this costing his body? Siti has those same concerns sometimes as she prepares mussels for her family. But the food helps them scrape by when grocery money runs low.
Intinya bersyukur apa yang Allah kasih, apa yang kita dapat bersyukur. Sebesar apapun harta, kalau nggak bersyukur habis, udah gitu aja.
As mussel income continues to drop, the family has started selling the few possessions they have left at home for extra cash. Something they try to hide from their children.
Ya mereka belum ngerti, cuma kadang suka ngomong, ya nggak ada perahu katanya gitu. Terus nggak ada motor, nggak bisa pergi ke kampung, nggak bisa pakai motor, nggak bisa kemana-mana gitu kan ya. Ya udah sih nanti beli lagi. Mama yang harus cariin yang cariin HP.
Saya ngeliat wajah anak-anak saya tuh kayaknya kasihan lah gitu. Insya Allah ntar sabar aja dulu, ntar ayah ngumpulin, ntar mau beli lagi pokoknya.
Though Muhammad is just 13, he notices the things debt is slowly taking from them.
Beli perhiasan rumah, vas bunga, lemari, TV.
His dream is simple. The freedom pollution has taken from him.
Kira-kira hal apa sih yang membuat kamu paling senang setiap hari?
Bisa bermain dengan teman-teman di lapangan. Berenang di laut.